Hi, hello, how are you? So today we'll be doing another Halloween crochet tutorial and I'm taking inspiration from one of my favorite crochet projects I've made. So simple, very easy. I would say this is somewhat beginner friendly. The only thing different is we're going to be using two shades of yarn, so you will have to switch back and forth. But let's just get started and show you what we got. So unfortunately I have like a little bit of an oops. I ordered one, this is very like peachy. I wanted like more of a true orange, but that's okay. So I ordered two skeins of yarn, both in the regular Sweet Snuggles, and the orange color was like pink. So I ended up exchanging it for the Sweet Snuggles Light, not thinking about how I would still have the classic Sweet Snuggles. So we're gonna play, I might have to play around with my abilities of like if I need to use two different hooks or not. We shall see. But these are the yarn I'll be using. This one, there is no color name. It's in the color SK25. Oh, in peach pink. And then this one is Sweet, so that's Sweet Snuggles Light. This is just Sweet Snuggles in black. And then I have some hook options. I have an 8mm, a 6mm. We'll see what I use. I will also need a crochet needle to attach the tentacles here, so it will be a low sew project, as well as to attach our witch hat we will be making. Also, black acrylic yarn is personally what I will be using for the witch hat. If you want to use your black fluffy yarn, you are more than welcome to. But that is another thing you'll need. You'll also need a stitch marker. I think that's all the supplies we need. I think that's everything we will need for this project. So let's get started. I am jumping in front of my video. This is me from the future. I forgot to include that I'm actually using an 8mm hook for this. I would prefer to use a smaller size hook for this yarn because I like my stitches a little tighter than this, but since we have the thicker black, if you also have this issue, use the 8mm. If you are only using this light one, I would recommend like a 6 or a 7. So that's just my little tidbit. To start, I'm going to use the like peachy orangey color. Like I said, will definitely be better if you have like a truer orange. Doesn't matter. You can either start by doing your magic ring, or if you're like me and the magic ring is physically impossible, we'll do a starting chain of 4, put our hook into the first stitch, and pull through. So we have a little circle here. Next step is we're going to go into the circle, pull yarn through, and create a stitch. Go into the circle again, pull yarn through, create a stitch. Now you can use your stitch marker to mark your first one if you like. I generally keep track of it. We'll do that a 3rd time, a 4th time, a 5th, and then a 6th. 6 fits perfectly, so that's all. Oops, I got my tail in there too. 6 fits perfectly, so we'll do that. Then I'm going to start my next row or round by going into my first stitch, creating a single stitch. This time we will mark it. It's gonna fight me here. Then we'll go back into that first stitch and pull our yarn through. So we have 2 stitches into 1. Then we'll go into this one twice as well. So we have 2 stitches into that one, 2 stitches into the next one. I'll slow it down just in case. Go into this one. Then we'll go back into that one again. And we're gonna go all the way around, which we almost have. and we should have 12 stitches in total. Now for the next round, we'll take out our stitch marker here, and we'll go into the first one twice again. So I'll do one stitch, mark it so I know where the start is, then do a second stitch. My marker wants to work, there we go. And then just do a single stitch into the next one, then 2 stitches into the third, then a single stitch, then into the next one. We're gonna do 1, 2, and we're gonna go all the way around in that pattern. Now that we've started the pattern, I will not take too long to show each step with crochet. So we'll do 2 stitches into this first, then a single stitch, and then a single stitch, then 2 stitches into the next, then a single stitch, then a single stitch. So it'll be like the last round, but this time instead of just 1 single stitch in between the doubles, we'll have 2. The last round you should have 24 stitches, and now we will put 2 stitches into the first stitch, then a single stitch, a single stitch, a single stitch into the next 3, then 2 stitches into the next one, then 3 single stitches, then 2 stitches all the way back to the start. Last round should have 30 stitches, and now this time we're putting 2 stitches into the first, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 stitches in the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 stitches in the next, then single stitch, single stitch, single stitch, single stitch, all the way back to the start. This previous round should have 36 stitches, and now we are going to stay the same. So we're going to put a single stitch in every single stitch. We're not expanding. Your next round should have 36 stitches, just like this previous one. So just put a single stitch in each. After the last round, I just said we'll do 2 more rounds of 36 in this peachy orange color. So you'll have 4 rounds of staying the same at 36 stitches. Now that we've started the pattern, I will not take too long to show each step with crochet. So we'll do 2 stitches into this first, then a single stitch, and then a single stitch, then 2 stitches into the next, then a single stitch, then a single stitch. So it'll be like the last round, but this time instead of just 1 single stitch in between the doubles, we'll have 2. Based on how much orange I want at the top, I am actually going to do 2 more rounds of the rows of 36 for orange before I switch over. So in total, we'll have done 6 rounds of 36. I also want to mention this looks pink as far as I can see on the camera. It is orange though. Just a little tidbit. I haven't really noticed how pink it looks. But anyways, we are the stitch before our first starting stitch. We did the 6 rows of 36, and now I'm going to switch over to black. So I have my yarn pulled through my last stitch of this row. I keep it tight here, and then I'm going to switch to black by just pulling my yarn through instead of which you can show again. So to do my last stitch, I would typically wrap this around, but instead just going to put my black, pull through, and now we're going to do this round just with black. And we're gonna go all the way around with black. This time, luckily, I don't have to get too nitpicky about immediately putting on the stitch marker. The next round you'll definitely want to because it'll blend in. But we're gonna do the 36 stitches with our black yarn. All the way around. And I have not decided how many rounds per stripe, but I'm going to kind of gauge based on doing, and I'll let you know how many rounds I do. So this will be round 1 of black, and then I'll let you know the total amount once I do that. You will do 4 rows of, or rounds of black, and then we'll switch back to orange and do 4 rounds of orange. I'm going to continue with my 4 rows of orange, 4 rows of black, 4 rows of orange till I get to my desired size. Of course, you can do more rows of one or the other. It is your slug you are making, so definitely do it however you'd like. But when I switch, I do not cut my yarn. So I'm going to go backwards a little bit here. I keep my yarn attached, and basically I just pull my yarn, which is going to be hard to see because I picked black to film this with, and I just pull through and go to the next one, and then I'll leave my orange still attached, and when it's time to switch back to orange, I will just pull the loop through instead. So that's a little tip, especially when this is going to be the outside. No one's going to see this inside part anyways, so it won't really affect the look of your slug. He kind of looks like a bumblebee right now. But yeah, we will keep going. I'm going to do black, 4 rows of black now. I'm not really sure how much further we have, but we're going to keep going, and then at the very end we will add the tentacles, is what they're called on slugs, because I don't want to cut my orange yarn just to make these, so we'll do this at the end so he actually looks like a slug rather than a worm or a bumblebee. After 4 rows of black, you'll switch back to orange and do 4 rows of orange. All right, so this has ended up a lot bigger than I had intended. So he's definitely going to be a jumbo size slug. I do have 4 rows of black, 3 rows of orange stripes, and we are going to transition back into the orange, but instead of doing a stripe, we're gonna kind of do like the head, except we are just gonna go ahead and reduce. Because slugs, they're kind of shaped like a giant tube. They have like a little bit of a rounded head, and then they pretty quickly go into a tail. So I'll probably do 2 rounds of staying the same, so 36 stitches all the way around twice, and then I will start talking about reducing. Now we're going to do the opposite of what we did here of expanding. We're going to decrease. So I'm going to go into the first stitch, pull through, go into the second stitch, pull through, and create 1 stitch. So when I say 2 stitches into 1, this is what I mean. Then we'll do 4 single stitches, then 2 stitches into 1, all the way back to our starting stitch, which I will put my stitch marker on. We are going to keep decreasing, so 2 stitches into 1, then 1, 2, 3, 2 stitches into 1, 1, 2, 3, all the way back to the start. I went ahead and start to stuff the slug, but I will of course have to add more. You want to make your plush nice and firm, but I'm going to continue reducing. So I'm going to do 2 stitches into 1, so I'll go into this loop and then into this loop, pull through, then 1, 2, into this loop, pull through, all the way back to the start. Now we're going to do the same thing, 2 stitches into 1, 1, 2 stitches into 1, 1, all the way back to the start. I'm going to want to make a little bit of a point at the end. So at this point, I am just going to double up my stitches and keep going all the way around till I seal my end. So I'm going to keep doubling up my stitches, 2 stitches in 1, keep going around. I kept doing the reducing. I have this little hole left. I pulled my yarn through, and I'm just going to weave my yarn in and pull it tight. So I have my yarn on the hook, or on the needle here. I'm going to weave back and forth through here. Just gonna seal, and then that's our end. Now we gotta add our tentacles. Now for the tentacles, which is what their little antennas are called, I personally did a starting chain of 10, then do 2 rows of 9 stitches, then we'll cut, stitch our pieces together by weaving the yarn in between here, back and forth, weaving back and forth just like so, so we can keep it together. We're going to weave it all the way down, All right, so we're gonna start for our witch hat. I'm just using classic acrylic yarn. I'm using a 5mm hook. And you're either gonna do a magic ring or like me, where you do a starting chain of 4, insert into the last loop to create a ring and pull through. So instead of inserting into the center like I normally would, I'm just gonna put a stitch in every stitch, and then after that we're gonna put 2 stitches in every stitch. So let's get 4 stitches, and I'm gonna go into my first stitch, put 2 stitches into that, 2 stitches in the next, 2 stitches in the next, 2 stitches in the next. So I'll have 8 stitches in total. You can see we're starting to get a point. And by the way, we're doing a single crochet stitch. Did not say that, but it's a single crochet stitch. Next, we're gonna put 2 stitches into one, and then a single stitch, then 2 stitches in the next, then a single stitch. Now, to do this witch hat, you wanna make sure you flip your work inside out, so like the kind of where the original spot is on the inside, and that we're working through, it's gonna be very hard to see, but the bottom stitches, so it can kind of have this look where it's going upward. So we're really only working through these bottom stitches as we go. All right, so we're gonna put 2 stitches in the first, then 2 single stitches, and 2 stitches into the next. And we're gonna keep doing this. So like the next round after this will be 3 single stitches in between the doubles, then the next will be 4 single stitches in between the doubles, so on. And I'll touch back once we get to our desired height. If you get to a desired height before I do, you are more than welcome to stop. But just for ease of the video, that is how we'll do. All right, so we have a little hat. I did all the way up to 2 stitches into one, 4 2 stitches into one. And now we are going to do the brim. It's only gonna be a couple rounds, but let's get started on that. And now, instead of going into these bottom stitches, I am going to go just straight. It's so hard to see. Black acrylic's hard to see. Instead of going into the bottom stitch only, now I'm going to go into both stitches. So I'm just going to insert, let me try and, I'm going to just insert my yarn into the regular like double stitches here, or like the V. So I'm gonna put my yarn through my hook through the V all the way around, and I'm just gonna do a single stitch into every stitch, if that makes sense. There's like really no way for me to show better. Before, to do this, I was just going into the bottom of the V. Now I'm going into both pieces of the V. Cute kitty in the background. All right, so I actually decided to only do that one round, and I think it looks pretty good. So that's all I'm gonna do, and now I'm just going to attach it. I might add like a little buckle to kind of give it like, I know that's more of like pilgrim, but I feel like sometimes you see that on witches' hats. I don't know, might add a little detail to give it a little more depth than just being a little black pointed hat here. But I'm going to attach it to my slug, and then we're done. Once you attach his witch hat, or her witch hat, you are done. Attach it wherever you like. I personally attached it a little offset. I thought that would be really cute. I attached it higher forward so you had the contrast of the orange and the black. But yeah, so these will straighten out with time. They're a little curly, kind of look like puppy ears. But yeah, there is our slug. Very cute. And if you enjoyed this video, you should definitely subscribe and hang around and go check out my Instagram as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!